F.E.A.R, or First Encounter Assault Recon, is a survival horror first-person shooter video game developed by Monolith Productions, who also created No One Lives Forever, No One Lives Forever 2, Condemned series, and F.E.A.R 2 Project Origins. F.E.A.R was published by Vivendi Universal Games and Warner Bros. Games. It was released on October 17, 2005 for PC, and it was ported to Xbox 360 and PS3. It has two expansion packs called F.E.A.R Extraction Point and F.E.A.R Perseus Mandate, and it's the first game in the F.E.A.R series, although those expansion packs aren't canon to the series. Today I'm going to review F.E.A.R. The story begins with a cutscene where Paxton Fettel and Alma are presented to us. Paxton Fettel, the main antagonist, is a psychic commander trapped somewhere in a prison cell who is approached by Alma, the main antagonist of the F.E.A.R series and the second antagonist for this game. She is a powerful spirit who seeks revenge against humanity because she was used in all sorts of experiments which destroyed her life. One of the experiments was Project Origin. We'll get to that later. Paxton somehow escapes the cell and manages to take control of a battalion of telepathically controlled clone super soldiers, or in short, replicas. The Point Man is the silent protagonist and is a F.E.A.R operative. Point Man, alongside his colleagues Spencer Yankowski and Jin Sun Kwon, attend a briefing held by Rodney Betters, who is the team leader and is in charge of briefing and monitoring the status of F.E.A.R field operatives. The team's mission is to eliminate Paxton Fettel. Yankowski is skeptical about the Point Man because he's the new guy, and for some reason throughout the game everyone else is also skeptical about you, even though you showed that you can take care of yourself.
You're putting him in the field? Are you crazy? He just transferred in a week ago.
You've seen his training results. His reflexes are totally off the charts.
Whatever, man. It's your call.
Goddamn right it is.
We then have a hallucination showing us Paxton Fettel again and some sort of scientist. Later it is revealed that this is Harlan Wade, the main scientist that was in charge of the experiments on Alma. We begin our journey in an abandoned building where Paxton Fettel was located by a tracking device that was implanted in him. Point Man has hallucinations where he sees Jankowski disappearing in front of his eyes, he hears Paxton talking to him, and sees a dead person. Point Man soon snaps back to reality and finds out that Paxton killed one of the scientists that was involved in the experiments and plans to kill the rest of them.
The dead man's name was Charles Haberger. He deserved to die. They all deserve to die.
Soon we find out that the replica super soldiers were located at the harbor by a Delta team with whom we are working together to take down Paxton. We are briefed by Douglas Holday, a sergeant and team leader in Delta Force, and sent to the harbor. On the start of the level, Point Man has hallucinations where he sees Alma brutally killing the Delta team that was with you. After that, he snaps back to reality and carries on with the mission alone, killing waves and waves of replicas. Occasionally, Point Man has hallucinations where Yankowski appears as a phantom. We never actually see Yankowski die, but according to the wiki, it's impossible for a living person to be seen as a phantom, so it's very likely he died at some point.
Is someone there?
Eventually we encounter Alma, who throws Point Man out the window. I actually went to her and this is what happened. So if you touch Alma during hallucinations, you die. After Alma throws Point Man out the window, Jin finds Point Man and is again skeptical about sending Point Man alone on their mission.
You can't send him in alone, that's crazy.
Point Man actually encounters Alma several times, but it's very short and harmless. She acts as a jump scare, basically.
Hello there.
We soon learn that the Delta Force team that was sent in at Armacom headquarters went missing and that they need F.E.A.R's assistance to find the team.
So maybe we can help each other out. Can do.
So they send a helicopter for you. After killing another scientist, Paxton heads to the Armacom headquarters with his clones to find other scientists. Armacom Technology Corporation is a company that is responsible for Alma's experiments and for the creation of the replica forces. Point Man attempts to determine the status of the missing Delta Force team while fighting against the replicas. Eventually, Point Man finds the missing team, but unfortunately, they're dead.
There was a lot of anger in this room.
Pointman at some point bumps into Norton Mapes, a geeky engineer employed by Armacam who is extremely annoying, to me at least. Norton wants Pointman's help in disabling Armacam's security system in exchange for his help in resetting the network server hub.
What am I, an IS lackey?
After Pointman disables the security, Norton betrays Pointman, not once but twice, and it becomes clear that he wants to destroy all evidence about the experiment, Project Origin, and etc.
There is that idiot.
Norton, for some reason, is extremely loyal to Genuine Aristide, who is the president of Armacam. Replica forces do not harm Norton because he may know the location of the vault. The vault is a giant underground facility where Alma was imprisoned by Armacam. Pointman eventually finds Aldous Bishop, who is an employee of Armacam with only basic knowledge of Project Origin. He was captured by the Replica forces and strapped with C4 explosives to await interrogation by Paxton regarding the location of a senior Origin researcher, Harlan Wade.
Demo team's on its way.
Pointman escorts the demolition team, which is under the command of Douglas Holliday, to Bishop, who defuses the C4 that was strapped on him. Bishop is cooperative with F.E.A.R and wants to leave the building. A helicopter was sent to extract Bishop.
You may be a pro, but I'm a master.
Holliday, alongside Pointman, escorts Bishop to the roof, but at the very last second Bishop was shot and killed by Armacam security. Armacam security is assisting Norton in destroying all evidence against Armacam, which includes killing Bishop and every person that wants to leak information against Armacam.
Fire?
Now, Pointman has to fight both the replicas and the Armacam security to find and stop Paxton and Norton. Paxton, after losing both Norton and Bishop, now wants to find Harlan Wade or his daughter Alice Wade. Pointman's new mission is to find Harlan and Alice and evacuate them from the site for debriefing.
Yeah, right.
Pointman eventually finds Alice. She tells Pointman and Butters that her father might be in Auburn district.
Some kind of classified facility?
Pointman tries to evacuate her but fails because they were separated at some point.
Sucks.
F.E.A.R and Delta Force head to the Auburn district via helicopter because they found out that Alice is on her way to the Auburn district to find her father. Butters informs the F.E.A.R operators Pointman and Jin and Delta Force leader Holliday that the Auburn district has an underground facility which is owned by Armacam. Also, Paxton was detected in that area. During the briefing, Pointman's helicopter was shot down. When the team woke up, Holliday and Jin were heavily wounded. Pointman had no choice but to carry on with the mission alone, which was to secure Alice Wade.
You sure you want to send him alone? These guys ain't fucking around.
At one point, while you're fighting with the replica soldiers, Paxton captured Alice Wade, killed her and ate her to learn the location of the vault. Pointman witnesses this through a hallucination, but he isn't sure if it's real or just a hallucination. Eventually, Pointman discovers the entrance to the facility and enters it. Inside the facility, he finds that the elite replica soldiers, Paxton, Norton Mapes, Armacam security, and Harlan Wade are already there. Norton, assisted by Armacam security, is destroying evidence against Armacam. After killing the Armacam security, Pointman witnesses Norton being seriously wounded after being shot by Harlan Wade. Wade then enters the vault and seals it by diverting power away from the doors.
Fuckhead, he locked you out.
After a brief conversation with Norton, he tells Pointman how to open the doors to the vault and to destroy the vault before it's too late. Pointman then opens the vault doors and enters it to pursue Harlan Wade. On his way to the vault, Pointman encounters Paxton and begins to have hallucinations again, where he is attacked by nightmares. Nightmares are supernatural beings summoned by Alma and Paxton. While fighting their nightmares, Paxton explains everything to Pointman. Paxton explains that the Pointman is his brother. Pointman was the first child of Alma. Project Origin was a top secret experiment born out of the struggle the US military was having in Vietnam. Communications between soldiers and commands were too slow. To solve this, Origin was created. It used an extremely powerful psionic as a breeder to create potential psychic commanders. The psionic was Alma, and the first potential commander was Pointman, second being Paxton. Alma's father is Harlan Wade. He used her in these experiments. Alma was merely 7 years old and she was put into an induced coma as a part of Project Origin. And it would be another 7 years before the now 14-year-old teenager was removed to impregnate her with the first of the prototypes. Life support was removed from the vault when Alma was 26, leading Armacam to believe she was dead. After the truth showed by Paxton to Pointman shoots Paxton, killing him. This also explains why Pointman is having these hallucinations. After he kills him, he snaps out of the hallucination and sees Alice and Paxton dead in front of him. While Paxton is dead, the replicas don't have a commander, thus they don't have a mission, so they shut down. Pointman continues to pursue Harlan Wade, and eventually he does find him, but he's too late. Harlan opened the vault, thus letting Alma escape her prison. We see Alma in adult form killing Harlan Wade. Then, Pointman has another hallucination where he sees the exact moment he was taken from Alma after being born. Pointman then snaps out of the hallucination, but he sees that the nightmares are in the real world now, and has to fight them. While fighting them, he exposes and destroys the reactor cells, which lead to the destruction of the vault and the facility. After escaping the facility, he goes outside and witnesses a huge explosion which knocks him out. He is later found by Douglas Halliday and Jen. He regains consciousness in the chopper as a mushroom cloud rises over the city. After a short conversation between Halliday and Jen, the helicopter rocks and there's a banging sound. And we see Alma pulling herself up into the chopper, ending the game.
What was that sound?
Even though the game is old, it still looks pretty good. The graphics have aged well and the lighting is still good. I think that the lighting in this game is one of the best lightings ever seen in a video game. Reflections are okay, but taking in account that this game was released back in 2005, it still looks good even today. So you can imagine how mind-blowing was it when it released. As for the AI in this game is smart. You can hear the enemy communicating and they even swear. Enemy AI doesn't just stay out in the open and wait for you to kill them. They use tactics, they try to flank you and kill you. They simply work as a team, and I played on medium difficulty. I did notice that the ATC and the replica forces fight the same way. The developers just use different skins for them.
He's over here!
Also, I did notice that while using the shotgun, there is dismemberment in this game. Of course, you can dismember the enemy by using grenades, but I feel like using the shotgun to dismember them is much more satisfying. Also, you can use fire extinguishers and explosive barrels to kill and possibly dismember enemies.
They all deserve to die.
One thing that stood up in this game is the ragdolls and the physics. It is simply too good for its time. It kinda reminds me of Max Payne 2 and its ragdolls and physics. A lot of things remind me of Max Payne, like slow motion and ragdolls, and how satisfying it is to play both games. Slow motion in this game is called reflex mode, and you can use that to your advantage to outsmart your enemies. At the beginning of the game, you don't really need to use reflex mode, but later the game becomes difficult and you have to use it to survive. Using reflex mode causes the reflex meter to drain. You can extend the meter by finding reflex boosters, which increase the amount of time you can be in slow mode by 2.5 seconds. Reflex boosters will glow green in dark areas. Getting to them still requires the player to solve the in-game puzzle to obtain it. Also, the same thing goes for the health. You can find health boosters that glow blue in dark areas. They increase your health by 5 health points.
Is someone there?
You also have melee combat, however, melee attacks are not likely to be used unless you're in a pinch. Bicycle kick, slide kick and sweeping kick do 1000 damage, which means that these attacks are only effective against regular replica soldiers or ATC, but completely ineffective against heavy armors, Rev 6 powered armors and turrets. Plus, it's pretty funny to see your enemies flying off the screen when you bicycle kick them. Using your pistol whip or rifle butt will deal 150 damage, which may kill them in one hit, but I'm not sure. Pointman can carry 3 weapons at once. You start with your ordinary pistol, which you don't really use. As soon as the second level starts, you spawn with a submachine gun, which you will use throughout the game. Soon after that, you will find an assault rifle and shotgun. The shotgun in this game is one of the most satisfying shotguns ever to use in a video game. The fact that you can dismember enemies makes it more satisfying and it drives you to use it. Throughout the game I use the assault rifle, the shotgun and the submachine gun the most. I rarely use other weapons because the ammo for the other weapons is scarce. The only other weapon I used frequently was the penetrator, that fires steel, stakes or nails, whatever you prefer. It can pin your enemies to walls if the target is near a wall when they're hit with a fatal shot. That makes it fun to use. Other weapons are the ASP rifle, which fires in bursts, Type 7 particle weapon, which is a particle beam based sniper weapon. On a killing shot, the beam will strip the target's flesh and appear, leaving behind only a blackened skeleton and the target's weapon. And the last weapon is the MP50 repeating cannon, which shows up right after you enter the facility containing the vault. There are also no iron sights in the game. Pointman just brings the gun to his face and that's it, except for the ASP rifle which has a scope. There's also one section in the game where you can control a turret. You just mow down your enemies with it, which is fun. You can actually use slow-mo while using the turret, which is kinda weird. You can also find these laptops, which are a major source of storyline information. When activated by the player, a laptop information is typically uploaded to betters, who then briefs the player on the acquired information. The funny thing is that the information found in laptop is always presented to the player in the same order, regardless of which laptops are activated. For example, if a single laptop is missed, the information will be found on the next laptop, thus the information that would normally be found on the final laptop will be unattainable. You will have to play the game all over again in order to obtain the final laptop information.
Sucks.
You can also find voicemails left on the answering machines, which are also a source of storyline information. However, they are not as direct as the laptop intels.
Maybe a pro, but I'm a master.
Horror segments in this game are good. You'll legit want them to end so you can go into combat again, because they are quite scary and creepy. There are these hallucinations. They range from ghostly appearances of Alma or Paxton, which are most common, to dreamlike sequences in which the point man is seemingly transported to an entirely different place. The hallucinations are mostly scripted and always occur in the same place. Pointman is often attacked by one or more nightmares when he enters these hallucinations. Of course, there are jump scares, but they aren't that scary, at least to me, because they are always the same. For example, you see Alma and there's a loud sound effect and that's it. The sound effect becomes pretty annoying later on, and they are also scripted like the hallucinations. Horror and combat segments are balanced in this game. You get fair amount of both, but what surprised me was the fact that you never know what's behind a corner. It could be more replicas or it could be a jump scare / hallucination. I found lots of problems while playing F.E.A.R. I will address some of them. Like for example, subtitles and HUD. The subtitles are too small. I played on 1080p and the subtitles were tiny and the UI was tiny also.
This sucks.
As for the loading, every time you start a new interval, the game briefs you with this scene. It's quite annoying to read this every single time. You don't have to, but it explains your mission and other things to you. They could have just showed us a cutscene or explained through betters. It could have a monologue or something, although other games use this explanation method like COD 2, and sometimes after you complete an objective or there's a change in your mission, the game freezes and you're presented by this window which shows what's your next objective. They could have just showed us what's our objective on the top left corner or something.
Yeah, right.
And the checkpoint system is so annoying in this game. Every time it's autosaves or you quick save, the game freezes. This becomes very annoying because it's killing the momentum that you build up until that moment.
That's crazy.
And I found out that the world is kinda empty. Even though the graphics are good, the world feels empty. The rooms feel empty, like they're missing something. They're missing some trash or leaves or something.
Hello.
Faces of characters seem like they're made of wax. Very odd face if you ask me.
Be careful in there.
The flashlight is so frustrating in this game. It's like the flashlight in Half-Life. It has a battery which runs out, but the game is like 80% dark, so you need it. The funny thing is, it always runs out of batteries when you need it the most, although it charges itself up pretty quickly. The soundtrack is okay, not anything rememberable, except for the soundtrack at the start of the game. I did notice that every time you encounter Norton, you get this goofy cartoonish soundtrack, which is weird to see in a horror game.
I thought I was a goner. Mr. Mapes, you're still alive. What are you doing here?
The elevators are offline, and those soldiers are everywhere. Now, you've got to find a security office and override the lockdown.
The voice acting is good, and also the sound effects for the chopper are extremely loud. It may be a bug or it may be intentional, I don't know.
Sorry.
This way! Damn it, what the hell is she thinking?
Sometimes when you want to pick up a weapon from the ground, if you pick it up too fast, you will drop both weapons. Sometimes you won't notice it until it's too late. When flying in the chopper, you can see the whole map, even the boundaries, and that's where this game shows its age. When you're hit, there's no effect or something to let you know that you were hit. Well, there is, but it sucks. The screen like twitches or something, and it's not noticeable at all. You can be killed very easily. You have to look at your health non-stop, which is annoying. Only when your health turns to red, you notice that you're close to death. There's also no indicator where you're supposed to go. You can get lost. I managed to get lost, but I got right back on track quickly. It's just frustrating sometimes when you don't know where to go exactly. When you shoot the wall or the floor, there seems to be a dust effect which makes your enemies invisible. But they can see you and they can shoot you, which is quite annoying. You can also carry 10 medkits. At the start of the game you'll always be maxed out, but later the game will be difficult and you will run out of medkits easily. I managed to die like a million times because I had no medkits left. They are common, but the fact that you have to use 2 or 3 at once to replenish your health is quite annoying. Elevator section is boring and it sucks, but it's short, so that's the only good thing about it.
This sucks.
I encountered a few bugs while playing the game. For example, when you're under the catwalk or you're on the catwalk, enemies won't shoot you for some reason. And also you can shoot them. I don't know why. You should be able to shoot them and kill them right through the catwalk, but you can't. Sometimes enemies will shoot you through walls, which is pretty annoying. And at one point I managed to get stuck at this box.
Okay.
I had this weird sound glitch at one level when you see Alma in front of you. This isn't probably a bug, but it's kinda funny. The game crashed like once and it was at this part and that's it. I had no more crashes. I also found that while using reflex, when you kill your enemies they sometimes fly over the screen. There's little exploring, but you have to keep in mind that this is a linear game. There are some puzzles, they're not too hard, in fact they are pretty easy. There's lots of enemies in F.E.A.R. The standard replicas, the F6 powered armor, the heavy armor, the replica assassins, the Armacam security, the annoying drones and turrets, Alma and the nightmares.
They all deserve to die.
The standard replicas and the Armacam security fight the same way. They're easily dealt with. The heavy armor is outfitted with a heavy and cumbersome alloy armored suit. They are armed primarily with the penetrator. The way they scream after you kill them is hilarious. They can easily be stun locked by throwing a grenade at them and you just unload your shotgun at them. Drones and turrets are the most annoying enemies in this game. Drones are armed with a single rapid-firing laser emitters and turrets are fully automatic. They can sustain fairly significant damage before being destroyed and do lots of damage to point men. You don't encounter them often, but when you do, you will tear your hair out because of them. Alma is also an enemy. She can kill you if you get too close to her. And last but not least, the nightmares. They often appear during hallucinations, however they begin to appear in the real world when Alma is released from the vault. They are easily dealt with, they only need one shot, even from a pistol, to kill them. And they don't do a lot of damage to point men. In conclusion, F.E.A.R. is a great horror game. It has lots of action and lots of horror. Sure, its graphics are outdated, but they are not that bad. It's very playable. The game like crashed once and that's it. You should definitely play it. I had lots of fun while playing it. The gameplay is smooth and fun and definitely worth it. Although I hate the silent protagonist, I'll give this one a pass, because silent protagonist fits well in this sort of setting. I played it 2 times, the first time was on medium difficulty, the second time was on easy difficulty. Easy difficulty is way too easy. I had lots of bullets and lots of medkits. I mainly used the shotgun and I rarely used any other weapon. I hope you enjoyed my review. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, I would appreciate it, and if you want me to review more games, leave a comment.